What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Not the man. Happy Star Wars Day.
Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th, and also with you.
This is one of my favorite days of the whole entire freaking year.
Me too, bro. I even got little Yoda here.
And
My
I got a
dude.
little glare going. Try to point it out. Yeah, awesome, cool.
You need to hang the poster lower so the glare is like right there at the lightsaber.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. So
Good call.
let's get into it.
All right.
It's Star Wars Day. We're gonna talk about Star Wars.
We're gonna talk about Star Wars.
The real reason why we wanted to start this podcast.
the 3-hour calls, you know.
And then life just happened, bro, and it got in the way. But
yeah,
that's what happens. So I guess you could say that I'm not a big fan of the new trilogy, right?
Yeah.
You know this?
Yeah.
I think the first one was okay.
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens was okay.
Okay.
But The Last Jedi to me was trash from a Star Wars fan point of view. And The Rise of Skywalker was okay. It's better than expected. That being said, I know you feel different from a fan point of view. Currently speaking, because it's 20
from a certain point of view.
It's true from a certain point of view. No. All right. So my question to you is, as a fan, where do you think the franchise is snapshot today?
As a fan today, we're in a good spot. We're in a very, very good spot.
Okay.
So my feelings are, so I know you're still catching up, but I just finished the last episode of the Clone Wars season 7.
Mm-hmm.
And far and away, that this last season, the last 4 episodes, it's if you haven't seen it, watch it. I know you're trying to catch up, but it's gonna you will never watch Revenge of the Sith the same ever again. Ever.
Good.
So when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I saw it. I see it leading up to that because
right.
I just finished watching the part where they make Rex the commander, and basically like
spoiler alert if you haven't seen it out there, guys.
Thank you. I think most fans are probably way ahead of me, but I just I'm trying to catch up. So the point I'm at is where Rex gets command of the fleet, and Ahsoka goes as basically as an advisor.
Oh yes, yeah.
So she just broke out from the Pikes, but all right. So I'll let you talk.
Okay. So again, I feel like we're in a good spot. I think that, especially with it today being Star Wars Day, they released the last episode today. I think that Dave Filoni, and I think that the way that they are focusing and gearing everything, it's doing a beautiful job, and it is taking us who we are Star Wars traditionalists. We are super old school. We love the trilogies, right? And everything else besides that, we're going to look side-eyed to and be like, nah, no, it's nothing. It's trash, right? But they are doing an awesome job. And it's a very, very hard job to have to impress and entertain, the traditionalists, and then have to focus upon bringing new people in. Right?
Yeah.
The younger folks, bring them in. But they are doing such a good job of just the storytelling. besides Star Wars, beside anything else, if you could tell me a good story in a movie, you got me. And then lead from there. Then you can put in all the sci-fi stuff, and it'll razzle dazzle and do whatever like that. But if you have a good story, game over. Okay. And that's what they are doing. I think one of the biggest frustrations is some of the, and going back to the prequels for just a second, I don't want to get too far off topic.
When you
Some
say
of the
prequels, are you
storytelling-
talking 1, 2, 3?
I'm talking.
So
No, I'm talking
the original.
No. I'm talking about the prequels. So really, one, Phantom Menace,
Okay.
Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I think with those, you can see that the storytelling was there, but it wasn't as sharp and as clean as it was in the originals.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I like those movies. I mean, they weren't what the originals were, but
they weren't. But at the same time, it still had that purity that was there, and you can kind of see it, but it wasn't as a higher value than it was with the originals. And everybody sees it, and everybody, it is what it is. But I think that today, we're in an awesome spot because we have so many ways that this Star Wars universe and these stories can be told. And one of the things that I love the most is just the underlying little itty bitty things that was said maybe in a previous movie. So for me, the Clone Wars is huge.
Yeah.
Just the fact that in Star Wars: A New Hope, when Obi-Wan Kenobi talks about the Clone Wars, and it just says it's just a simple phrase, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there like thinking like, what the heck is the Clone Wars? What's this, right? But that simple phrase there ignited an entire series, and actually, the prequels. It
no
told
doubt.
the story on what happened there, and that's what I mean. So there's so many different things. There's so many characters and planets and things out there that Star Wars can kind of go to and tell these stories that we've never heard of, or maybe just a snippet of. So I think that with the vision that Dave Filoni and everybody else has, it's going in the right place. I feel really good about it. I think me and you talked about it at length when The Last Jedi came out. We were in a very, very dark place. We didn't know where Star Wars was going. We had no clue. I was extremely optimistic. I think you were a little bit. You wanted things to be different, but you were more direct to the point. Like, yo, this ain't. I don't like it. But what reverse question? Your turn. Where do you think we're at? How do you feel?
Well, and this goes without having seen the final last 4 episodes. I think I like where the story is going, and not necessarily this, because the story is basically already written, right? The story is complete. We could fill in small pieces in the middle, which is cool to me because it gives you a glimpse of what was or what happened and how we got to, the things that we already know.
Yeah.
But what I'm interested in is what happens next. I'm not, I liked Rogue One, and I think it was a super cool idea. And even the movie in and of itself was good. I just didn't think that it brought more storytelling value. Because because you already know where it ends. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but still telling the story and showing us what happened, even though we know in the end kind of what happened. Now, the one thing that it did an awesome job at is connecting the between obviously A New Hope and kind of what happened with the Death Star. It did an awesome job of showing us that we all know, because we've seen A New Hope and we kind of know going forward kind of what happens. But just again, that little itty bitty phrase, what did she say? Many Bobbins died to bring us this information.
Right.
No, wait, no, that was in.
It was something like that.
That was Return of the Jedi, but it basically just the fact that we knew these plans got to the rebels in some shape, way, fashion, form.
Yeah.
Right. And just the fact that they went back and made an entire movie on how they got those plans we know people sacrificed with it. We know they died, and then we got to see it. I think that even in terms of the story being told, the story. I guess I'm one for how they show it and how they explain it, how we got there. I think that
Okay.
for me, kind of just it extrapolates and it just, especially too, if you have emotion and it draws you super in. Like I was on the edge of my seat. We knew what was going to happen. We knew that they were going to die. Something was going to happen. We just kind of, waiting our time. Like crap, we know it's going to go down. How's it going to happen? And how they tied it in to A New Hope. Towards the end with Vader, and then seeing Princess Leia. Just best. I'm kind of
Fan
I loved
service.
it.
A lot of
I
fan
loved
service.
it.
So
Fan service, but just like perfect transition. Like you can just play the movies back to back to back to back to back, and you don't have to have a setup. You're right there instantly, like ready to go.
Do you think that movie would have been as good if the Darth Vader scene hadn't been in it?
I think that I think it still would have been good, but with a Darth Vader scene in there, made it just that much better. Because I think that because when we saw Princess Leia, we got a double tap, right?
Right.
We got Vader going off, and you actually really seeing him do his thing. We haven't seen that. Fans have been clamoring to see that, to see him go off and do his thing. Yeah, nice little lightsaber with his son. You know what I mean? A nice little duel with Obi-Wan. But for him to just go off and just do his thing and just wreck shop, like, nah. And especially at a point where it just came out of nowhere. And you're just, especially when you hear the sounds and everything starts to kind of like, line up. And you're like, wait a minute. This sounds like the beginning of A New Hope. What, no. Oh my God. And then, boom, I want to go watch it. I want to go watch it right now.
Go ahead.
We get that double tap. We see, Vader. And then right after when they get away, we go ahead and the plans are given to, Leia, and it's boom. And we're just like, oh my God. If they would have kept one of those, which probably see Princess Leia without Darth Vader, I feel like it still would have had a massive good impact. But to get both of them, I love what they did there. And actually, the Vader scene wasn't even supposed to be in there. They finished
I know that
physical photography, and they went back and they needed something more. They were talking about it, trying to add something, and they made that. I forgot the timeline of when they made it, but they got it done, and yeah.
And I think, and without any criticism to Disney, I think it was just them trying to figure out what is the identity of this franchise that we bought them under our portfolio management. I don't think that it was perfectly executed, because honestly, there was no one out there wanting to know what happened in Rogue One, right?
I did.
I mean, okay, but were you out there saying, oh man, I wish they would make a movie about that? Yes. There's so many different things for me that I would have liked to have seen. Like, how did Luke finish his training? I mean, he leaves the Cloud City, and he you don't know, the next time you see him, boom, he's a full-fledged Jedi. How long was Han frozen in carbonite? And I know those numbers somewhere exist where, at least there's speculation. But I read a theory, and, I'd like to bring that back to the Clone Wars. I read a theory that Ahsoka found him at some point after that, after, the Empire Strikes Back final scene. She found him and finished his training. Because
who? Luke? Found Luke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he doesn't see Yoda again until Yoda passes. Because if he had seen Yoda prior to that, in the meantime, he would have asked him the question. He'd have been like, "Hey, is Darth Vader my father?"
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing he said. So, that between that question and him being on the medical frigate something happened. A lot happened. That to me as a fan is more interesting of a story to tell. If you're going to fill in the in between, I'm just, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, so that is on point. I would love to see that story.
Yeah.
Now, I think that Rogue One's story is a little bit more significant than Luke training in the in-between and kind of seeing kind of what happened. It's definitely interesting, but the fact that Rogue One tells a story of the plans that they received so they can destroy the Death Star. If they didn't get those plans to destroy the Death Star, then none of it would matter going forward.
True. And I'm not discounting it. I'm not even saying it was a bad movie. It wouldn't have been my choice, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I love just how they executed it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it showed us something that we've never seen before. Now, with that being said, though, that's what you're asking for. Now, granted, you didn't want to see the story of how they got the plans, but you do want to see an untold story of how the heck did Luke learn as much as he did between.
Well, I'm saying that I would rather see something new, but if you're going to plug the holes, fill in some of the main character space. That again, my opinion, and back to my previous point, why I like that tie-in better, because it ties in with Ahsoka. And whether or not that theory is even a viable one, I saw it in a YouTube video once, but they are propping up Ahsoka as a character so much through every single one of the animated series, and she's a legit badass character. From a fan's point of view, she is developed. She has a story. She has a background. She has ethical and moral dilemmas, and she really grows over time. I really liked her in Rebels. That battle that she had with Anakin as Darth Vader was epic.
Yeah.
And for a kids show, I was like, bro.
I don't even consider Rebels to be a kid show. I did it first when I first started watching it. When I first heard about it, but it is not a kid show.
It tells an awesome story.
Right. It's a Star Wars story. Yeah.
The characters were awesome, all of them.
With that being said, on the story of Ahsoka, now she's being brought in more.
Right.
Initially, when Rogue One probably was pitched and everything, Ahsoka was still a character. We knew who she was in Clone Wars, things like that. So she wasn't as massive as she is right now. She's been in multiple. She's been Clone Wars. She's been in Rebels. Who knows what she's going to be in the future? But they've laid the groundwork, right? And now they can kind of plug in this massive character who I love too. I love Ahsoka.
Me too.
Like the scene that you probably haven't got there yet, but when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's actually probably a couple of them, so I'll let you take your pick. But I mean, you're gonna love it. I mean, I wanna watch them again. I watched the last episode today, like I said, and it tugs at your heartstrings. It kind of gets you, man. And the way that they do it again is an awesome job. The way they tell that story is so good. But timing is everything. And it might be that time right now where Ahsoka's story can be told, because we know who she is. They've shown her enough, and she's developed enough. And you can kind of see, because it would be one thing if you're like, okay, cool, we know who she is. She's Padawan Anakin, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then we just all of a sudden we see this badass chick that's kind of come out of nowhere and doing all this stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, where did she learn all that? Like, we know
she has history.
We know.
She's not a Mary Sue. Right. She's not somebody who just shows up, can do everything, and then, save the galaxy. Which, hey, it's not worth getting upset over. It's a fictional world. Let's be real. But from a fan perspective, I can see why people didn't appreciate a Rey character. You know what I mean? Like, you have this character, Ahsoka, and there's a lot of criticism that people that don't like the new Star Wars movies, that they have an issue with it being a strong female character, and that's just not necessarily the truth, right? Especially not for me. I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the fandom, but for me, I would have rather have watched a new trilogy with brand new characters or Ahsoka at the helm, whatever. Because, if it had to be a female character, you already got one. And she's loved by tons of fans. I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, man, she sucks. I mean, it's just take advantage of that. But again, I think it's Disney just trying to find what their Star Wars franchise identity really is. And, they're struggling. I mean, there's been plenty of news reports that, they had to do reshoots, and I mean, they let Colin Trevorrow go, and, a ton of different things. But
yeah, I mean, I could see that from a whole. And I think that, I mean, obviously they took a hit, because me and you talked about it for a good minute.
mm-hmm.
We just were lost. It was like, what are we doing? Like, if this next movie is trash, like, we're done. How can we come back from that? All kind of different theories and things that we spoke about. I think for the Last Jedi, we looked at so many different theories, because we were so amped, because we were just like, yo, this movie is gonna bring it, and it didn't. And then obviously the issue with that is that it had us all kind of wondering what the hell is going to happen going forward with the Rise of Skywalker. I like the Rise of Skywalker, but in terms of how the story progressed and how they set things up, I think they did a good job of rebounding. I don't think they let it drop completely, in my opinion. Because it could have got a hell of a lot worse, but I don't think they did that. I think they did a good job, and it's hard to satisfy 3 different generations, man.
Shit, 100%. I'm not saying it's easy by any means.
I think they did a good job with that, but so you mentioned something earlier. You said you were talking about like Rey. You didn't particularly like, I guess you wanted to kind of go a different route. You wanted to kind of, establish somebody in this trilogy that had already been established in prior, versus bringing in all new characters.
Well, so I have 2 different thoughts there. I think if they wanted to restart Star Wars, where their problem came in, storytelling wise, is trying to fit the old characters into the new story. Because on its own and on its face, it's cool to have, a defected stormtrooper and, a fighter pilot and Rey do what they do. No big deal. I still think there's some storytelling issues, but I think trying to weave in the legacy characters is just difficult, because who is really the main character? The Skywalker family, that's who the whole movie is about. The story was about Luke initially.
Yeah.
Right? You identified with Luke because he was the one on the hero's journey. He struggled. He lost his aunt and uncle. He then lost a mentor, and then he had to kind of find his own way. But, that is the textbook hero's journey. The call to adventure, all of that. With the new movies, all of that stuff was kind of subdued and kind of hidden, and it was almost like everything in those movies, everything in those stories were just plot devices to move the story along. Like, oh, we don't know what to do here. Well, let's just make Leia float. Or we don't know how to do this. Well, Luke can just project himself across the galaxy.
Which
right?
Badass, by the way.
Cool. But you didn't really know it was possible. And if you're going to project him across the galaxy, make him lift his damn X-Wing out of the water, fly to where the action is, and actually go do the thing.
But if he would have flew over there, he would have got busted up by all those, lasers.
But it would have been much cooler for him to actually have the power to, because we already know, it's already established that depending on how strong you are with the Force, you can block lasers. Darth Vader did it. Kylo stopped him. So he could have done that. And the interaction with his sister, seeing her for the last time, would have actually been a physical one rather than a projected one. But, hey, whatever. They chose the path that they wanted to choose, and that's cool, I guess. But, I mean, I know that, there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily happy with Star Wars. But, maybe it's an issue of leadership. Maybe it's an issue of really trying to determine, hey, where do we want to go from a storytelling perspective? And I think Colin, not Colin Trevorrow. I think Filoni and Favreau are doing a phenomenal job with The Mandalorian and Clone Wars. I think from a fan perspective, that's where I want to see it. I want to see it grungy and, but I don't want too many story devices. Like The Mandalorian is so simple in its storytelling. You have this guy, he found the child. We still don't know what's going on with the child, and that's okay. We know that maybe he's a clone, maybe he's not. But it's a full, whole, well-developed story that centers on a few characters rather than a bunch of others and then trying to bring in, like, imagine trying to bring in Luke Skywalker into The Mandalorian. How do you even do that outside of a quick cameo? And I think from a Star Wars fan's perspective, when I heard Disney bought the franchise from George Lucas and, they were developing a plan to make movies, and then eventually down the road, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher all committed. And I was like, bro, this is going to be cool. And then I think they were trying too hard to weave them into the story, but leave them as side characters. So Rey and Finn and Poe could have their story arc developed. And I think it hurt the story more than it benefited it. Because if you had taken that movie completely to the other side of the galaxy and you had a Rey and a Finn and a Poe, they could have done some cool stuff. One of them could have discovered the Force. So who cares?
Yes, but you also run into the fact of, like, okay, you have these new characters. Who are they? And how are they connected to this whole world, this whole situation? Han connected, Rey and Finn to Luke, initially. You know what I'm saying? He brought them in. He was that main connection. Rey wouldn't have knew who Luke was and been like, yo, okay, hey, Luke Skywalker, hi, how you doing? Goodbye. Like, none of that would have happened. So, Han was that connection to okay, all right, cool. You got my damn Millennium Falcon. What the hell are you doing? Bring him in, boom, boom. And then everything from that point, started to kind of start the journey up and everything. So, but I do think that I like what they did initially looking back on it. First, when it was kind of going down, I was like, why are they bringing these guys in? What's happening? Why are they doing this? But again, like, we're looking at it from a traditionalist point of view, right? We want to have our superstars.
They're our heroes.
Right. To go out.
That's my childhood hero.
But, we're older now, and so are they. It's time for them to pass that baton on and let somebody else go kick the Empire's butt. or the, new resistance
Yeah.
or whatever the hell it is. So it's again, I wasn't a fan initially, but looking back on it, a couple of times, I get where they were kind of going, and I'm okay with that.
But you don't think that it basically negated everything that happened for 6 movies?
I don't, because it's a new journey. Just because of the fact that, if it's my life and I'm living my life and I'm doing my thing and I go out there, no matter what I do, and then I have a son, daughter, right? And then she's living like her life, like her life begins. She's doing her thing. I'm part of it,
Yeah.
but it's not my story anymore, right? I can go out there and I can try to go and play ball or do whatever, when I'm 50, 60 years old or
I get
whatever.
it.
Like, I can't do it anymore. It's her story. I got to let her do it. I got to let her take the lead. And that's what they did. They did a good job of, hey, we're passing the baton on. They told us exactly what they were doing in all the movies. Spoiler alert, when Han dies, which, sucked, one of the hardest scenes to watch. You know what I'm saying? But when you see one of your heroes go, you're like, yo, what is going on here? And then in the next one, when Luke does his thing, you're like, yo, what's happening? But I think that they showed us, that's life. These movies, and we get so invested in it and everything, but it's life.
Yeah.
We're not going to be here forever. And when we are here, we have to make it count. We have to give as much knowledge as we can to the people that are close to us that we care about, do what we can the best way, and keep it rolling, And unfortunately, if we want to go to the movies, and sometimes we just want to be flat out entertained. We don't want to see those underlying messages that the movie is telling us. We just want to be entertained and all that good stuff. But looking back on it, I said, I don't have a problem.
All right, so Canto Bite scene.
In. That was hot trash.
Okay, thank you. And totally worth it. It didn't even achieve their goal.
It was hot trash. And the only good thing that came out of it was just the fact that they showed the kids there. The interaction with the kids, that was it.
Yeah.
But then they flipped back towards the end. Old boy gets up, the first thing with the broom. Like, that was nice.
That was my favorite.
That was the only kind of, and if you look at the Candle Bite scene, it had some underlining tones in there, which I get. And we're all part of this social and life experiment. A lot of times, movies are made in a certain time, certain issues and things are kind of going on. Mm-hmm. And you want to throw a little bit of a message in your movie or your show or whatever that's going to reflect the current times. And I think that's what they did.
Yeah, they tried. That's definitely. I think that
they did. Was it kind of successful in Star Wars, viewership, if you want to call it? No, people. Yeah. I don't think really people were like, what the hell is going on with the scene?
It was definitely trying to dog out capitalism, and it was trying to highlight animal rights, but you free the space horses, but you leave the slave kids, bro. Like, what do you? Come on. Exactly. But anyway, yeah. I think they had to leave the kids there so the kid can pick up the broom with the Force at the end of the movie.
Right.
But
right.
All right, so I like it. I like where it's going, right? I don't necessarily like the in-between, not my favorite thing, but I like where it's going. You did say something about, us getting emotionally involved.
Yeah.
We had this conversation a couple of days ago, but I kind of want to go back to, and especially pertaining to Star Wars, because I have watched YouTube videos that are like vile, bro. They're just, you would think if those people saw Rian Johnson in person that they would try to ghost him. Or at least cut off his hand with a lightsaber.
I think that all comes with the territory of you making something that is so endearing. Like, it's part of your life. Like, Star Wars is part of my life. You know what I mean?
And mine too. I mean,
right.
It was what got this started, right?
Right. And
but do you think that? Sorry, go ahead.
No. And just going back, I think every Star Wars fan has their story where they first saw it, they first saw their character, they first fell in love with this idea, and it's something that we, I mean, from wearing a shirt to socks to a blanket to a poster.
You got a blanket?
I got a nice little keep me nice and warm.
Do you eat chicken
but
nuggets?
All this, no.
Like the child.
But all of this stuff is, we've grown up with it. We're adults. Yeah. It takes on a different thing for us now. There's a lot of layers, to it. But again, those layers, it's emotional. And if somebody comes at you in any type of emotional way and it doesn't, work out the way that you want it to, it's like, yo, man, nah, we got to fix this. What the hell are you doing? And that's exactly what you want. If somebody did something like that and they weren't emotional, they didn't care about it as much, then it's kind of like, no, I don't want to deal with you anyway, because I don't even really care that much about what you're supposed to care about. So somebody kind of going at Rian Johnson and not liking the work that he did, like, good. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. I think that he's tough enough to be like right, to be tough enough to be like, all right, well, I made it. You don't like it, that's fine. Cool. There's other people that do. Now, I will say this. Initially, I wasn't a fan of the movie, right? I was not a fan of The Last Jedi. Okay? And over time, my opinion is beginning to shift. Right? I'm starting to see more and more levels to this. I talked about it on the our first podcast where I've got these new eyes, maybe to kind of zoom in a little bit.
I asked you, I said, did you go back and watch The Last Jedi? Did you? Or not yet?
Yeah. It was on today. It was on TBS. So they did a whole.
That's why it was so hard to get a hold of you today.
Oh yeah. But I had watched it before a couple of times, and I kind of forced myself to. But I just started to see, more and more different layers to the movie than what initially I think that we wanted to see, and I think that's the bigger issue. I know I watched a ton of YouTube clips and a ton of theories that were out there.
Yeah, me too.
Be this and that and and we put everything up on this pedestal like it's gonna be just the greatest thing ever, and want to see all these characters and this is gonna happen and blah blah blah, and none of that happened. And when we didn't see that, we were like, well, damn, what the hell was this? Right? And we were sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's what led to this. Initially, for me, I think like I just don't, I'm not liking it. But the more and more I watch the movie, the more and more I begin to like it. And
okay,
I think it's a good thing. I'm not, and this is the thing. I'm not even trying to force myself to. Like when you kind of sit back and you're watching it and you hear some of the dialogue. Some of the dialogue is almost like telling, the fan, us sitting down, exactly what you're actually doing as a director, or the story that you are trying to say.
I mean, there was plenty of times where they're like, let the past go, let it die.
Exactly. And that's a direct message to us, the traditionalists, where we're like, yo, it's got to be like this. It's got to be the hero's journey. And blah, blah, blah. No, I was like, let the past die. The past is the past. We're going forward,
But it's the foundation of the saga though. That to me, and it's hard to discern sometimes, like what is healthy fandom and what is just emotional recklessness. And I guess my question to you, say that again.
expectations too.
So that was what I was about to ask you. And the reason that I think both of us were looking so much forward to this movie is because as a standalone film, The Force Awakens really did set up a great opportunity, which is the reason why I don't think it's the best one of them, but it's definitely not a terrible movie. It gave an opportunity for Rian Johnson to just knock this thing out of the park. It had a few different things that it set up, right? Why is the lightsaber talking to Rey? Rey's parents, because that was obviously a question that was posed in The Force Awakens. Why is Luke in hiding? How did Kylo turn? Who's Snoke? And who are the Knights of Ren? None of that was answered. As a fan wanting to know what happens, right? Because you see this big bad villain, and I think it would have been different if they would have kept the real villain until the end, like they did with A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Jedi. You didn't really see the Emperor in the flesh until Jedi. From our perspective, having seen 4, 5, and 6 before 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And, it kind of cloaked that character to where you weren't even really worried about it. You were kind of worried about, okay, well, who's Luke's father? Because he came up. And why is he important? What's a Jedi? Why didn't he use the Force to pull his lightsaber back up the air shaft when his hand got cut off? That was one of my questions when I was a kid. But anyway.
Yeah. That hand.
I'm like, how do you let that thing go? I just wanted one so bad. But yeah, I think expectations. And my question to you is, how much do you think that the expectation changed our view of the movie? Because there were so many theories that could have been great, and that we kind of locked onto and said, if this happens, this movie's going to be amazing. However, none of that happened.
Right.
Subverted expectations. Right. Thanks, Rian Johnson.
They were massive.
Right.
I won't even blame Rian Johnson on that. I'm going to blame all of the Star Wars theorists and Star Wars fans, but we're being fans. I mean, well,
he clearly said in an interview, sorry to cut you off, but he said in an interview, my point was to subvert expectations. So he did that on purpose. He didn't want anybody to really have any of their theories fulfilled, because he was like, I'm at the helm of this. I'm going to do it my way. I don't give a damn what you think. But anyway, sorry.
No. But I mean, you raise a good point there. But like, what theories? Where are they coming from? Number one, who's thinking of these theories? Who's putting them out or leaking them or whatever? And where are these theories, the expectations coming from?
A lot of fans have been fans for 30 years.
Exactly. So we created our expectations and our theories of what we wanted to happen. We wanted to see this happen. We saw, a little clip of whatever in these trailers, and we're trying to kind of fill in the gaps, and try to be like, all right, the movie's going to be like this, Knights of Ren, it's going to be like this, da-da-da-da. We tried to do that because we wanted to see certain things. I know I wanted to see the Knights of Ren. Once I saw them, in The Force Awakens and that little flashback, I was like, yo, he's got his own crew? What are they going to do? Oh my God.
Got a posse.
Right? Exactly. They're going to be wrecking shop and taking everybody out. I wanted to see that.
I don't think it's too much to say you set up this thing in the first movie, but then in the second movie, you don't deliver on it. And it's, there's two different directors. I get it completely. But imagine, because we didn't know in A New Hope really how big was the Empire really, right? We knew, okay, they blew up the Death Star. Imagine if in Empire Strikes Back, they were fighting the Pikes all of a sudden. And then, oh, but Darth Vader's back. And then, like, that wouldn't really flow as a story. You know, so they set up this crew of dudes, badass dudes, rolling with Kylo Ren. But where are they? And we still don't really, like, even the Rise of Skywalker didn't really get into that. So that's a waste of time.
It is, but from the whole story's perspective, it really didn't matter if they showed a little snippet of these dudes, you know. But
so why make such a big deal out of them?
Well, it gave them the option to take that if they wanted to, you know. But do they want? How big is that going to be? How is that going to be a pivotal part of the movie and the series?
Yeah.
If it's not, then it's just part of the flashback. It's just Kylo and his boys, you know, doing their thing. It's not going to be anything significant where these Knights of Ren are going to, like, you know, either help turn or take somebody out or whatever it was. Now, it was important in The Rise of Skywalker because he did take his own boys out. Once he made a decision to be who he was going to be, he was like, all right, you guys are my boys, but, you know, I'm done being who I was. I'm going to be my true self.
Yeah.
And then he rocks them, spoiler alert, and does his thing.
I think you're saying.
But that showed his character, his arc coming back, you know? So it did show us a little bit. These were his boys. He was with them, ride or die. Hey, I got to stay to my truth. And I'm sorry, but I got to take you guys out. So to take out the dudes that you was rolling with and rocking with, and then you got to do the right thing for you, that shows a lot of character or a lot of conflict that he had that we saw, and then he's pushing through to do the right thing.
He needs to let go of his hate.
I think
there's conflict
in
him. But okay, so both of us did this for The Rise of Skywalker. We watched no theories.
Right.
Honestly, I wasn't really interested anyway. You know, it wasn't, and it didn't. It occupied no mental real estate whatsoever. None.
Me too.
I think we
got burned. I think we got burned, and we were like, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to put so much time and effort into these theories, and then get solely disappointed like we were before. We had saw trailers, and when the trailer came out, I think that was probably the biggest thing where, okay, we can look at the trailer a couple of times and maybe try to figure some stuff out. Okay.
I mean, I remember sitting right here and doing our Star Wars podcast with the trailer.
Yep.
But even though I didn't dislike the movie, it didn't really change my opinion on Star Wars where it was at. And, you know, I hate that because I really think the story has so much good in it. It has so many little nuggets of information that, you know, and this goes with anything that you're into or any fan. I mean, even, you know, we talked about last week, even a good baseball movie or a football movie, there's something you can take away from that and apply it in real life. You know, the message that the movie has, or the message that the characters have in their own arc, I think to a great deal can be applicable in real life. And I just didn't have that with this movie. Outside of, you know, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Cool message, bro. But sometimes you have to do that. I mean, sometimes you have to let go of the past. And I mean, you know, I get it. But to me, it wasn't really, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say it wasn't what I expected. But the issue I have with the whole let the past go, let it die, is that you're stepping into an existing franchise. It wasn't like, you know, they just could do their own thing. Like The Mandalorian is its own standalone story. It can tie in, but it doesn't have to. Rebels ties in a lot, but it doesn't. It doesn't.
But I think that you want it to go your certain type of way. I think that's what I'm.
I don't know, man.
That's what I kind of think. Like, so it's like you want it to go a certain type of way, and when it doesn't go that way, it's not good because it's not what you were expecting or not what you wanted.
Are you calling me Dudley?
No, I'm just saying you have
37. Last year I had 37.
You had a certain perspective or an idea on how you think that the story like should be told, and when it deviated from that, you're like, oh man, this is hot trash. You know,
I don't know though, because
it's different, but it's something that number one, I wasn't expecting. And I've had to watch it multiple times to try to see the value in it and to try to kind of understand the message, number one, that he was trying to convince movie-wise to us, and then the underlying tone to there. I guess, I don't know, I maybe I'm looking so deep to try to make it, you know.
You're selling it to yourself. You can just admit it, bro. It's trash.
No, so it's when I watched the scene, because it was just on, and I just watched the scene where Kylo and Rey, you know, wreck shot, and they go in and they fight together, and they kill the Red Guards or whatever.
Yeah, the Royal Guards or whatever they're called.
The Royal Guard, they kill them, and then, you know, Rey's like, "Come on, we gotta, you know, help the fleet." And she turns back, looks at him, and he's like, "Nah, it's me and you. Come on, let's do this." And she's like, come on, nah.
Yeah.
No, just let it die. All the old stuff, all the new stuff, whatever, man. Let's me and you. We gonna rule this. Let's do it. And she's like, I don't know. Don't do this.
Yeah.
It's like, let the past die. We gonna make our own future. Right? And she's like, I can't, no, that ain't me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she made her choice, and that was, like I said before, it was almost like, hey, let the past die. All these other older movies that you love and you care about so much, still love it, still care about it, but the new stuff is new. Let the past die. Embrace what the new Star Wars is going to be. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then you ain't got to. You know, you can go off and do your own thing. You know,
I get it, but from a business perspective, that's a bad move. Toy sales went down. Movie ticket sales went down. Star Wars as a whole. Yeah.
Did the movie for that?
Well, I mean,
Skywalker.
So if you look at the numbers, right next to the advertising budget, and a lot of movie profits or a lot of franchise profits are toy sales, it didn't make it. I mean, Bob Iger, I want to say it was right after The Last Jedi, so it had to have been about 2 years ago. He's like, yeah, you know, our toy division the Star Wars toys are not doing so hot. And he blames oversaturation. You know, he's like, maybe we jumped into this too quick and made too much. And, you know, there's definitely some merit to that statement because, you know, in economic terms, it's diminishing returns. So, you know, if you love pizza and you eat pizza every day, after a certain time, your emotional high, your endorphin kick every time you eat pizza is going to become less and less and less and less. So you're diminishing the returns of endorphins or joy over time if you saturate yourself with that thing that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think maybe there's some merit to it because how many, actually, as I'm talking with Yoda in the background, but I got him on sale, man. He was like $8 at Target. And I was like, well, I guess, you know, he used to be like 30, so I'll pick him up. But he's cool though. He did come with a lightsaber and a cloak. I don't know what happened to them. my
He's
9-year-old.
good.
Well,
He's
when
good.
I got him, he was like 4.
Good, I know.
But he's about the size of Baby Yoda, so that's cool, I guess. No, so I think there's some merit to the saturation of the market and just throwing Star Wars at the fans and basically shoving it down their throat every 2 years. A franchise movie every year. An opposite cadence, and with the Star Wars stories. And I mean, Solo was a giant flop.
Yeah, financially, from that perspective, it didn't hit. They had a lot of problems.
They did.
Kind of off the rip, director-wise, vision-wise, on how they wanted to tell the story.
But it's again, it's another story where you're like, I didn't really need to see that.
I don't know. For me, I want to see everything Star Wars as possible.
100%, me too.
And I mean, probably hear from how I talk. I want to throw myself into the movie emotionally and believe it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like initially, if I go to the movie theater, I watch a movie, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, they can't do that. I hate those folks. Get out of here. Go home. Go sit on the couch.
It's not, bro. I have a secret. It's not real. It's not real to begin with.
That's right.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to kind of curb your emotions, and you cannot get that upset.
True.
But you do have emotions invested in the story.
Especially if it is Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the whole deal why we were we were disappointed in Last Jedi. But want to see a movie, throw myself on it and emotionally believe it.
Yeah.
And we go from there. But with that being said, kind of going back, I don't want to sell myself in a movie, but I just want to enjoy it. I want to, on many different levels, or how you see a movie or how you experience it, if I were to pop that movie in right now, Last Jedi, I would be entertained by it. There are parts in the movie
I'd be like this.
Completely love. I enjoy it. It brings certain stuff back for me. Anytime I see the Millennium Falcon, I don't care. I'm good. Right. Exactly. Right. There.
The Falcon.
Right. Anytime I see the Millennium Falcon, I'm straight.
I know. And that to me, even after my dismay, bro, when we walked in the Galaxy's Edge today to open, I was like, oh my
goodness. All that faded away.
And
every bad review, every bad expectation, it didn't freaking matter.
And that was when the 10-year-old kid in me, when I first saw the movies, came out and was like, maybe I can make this move.
Right.
Right.
I wasn't like about to cry, but you just got that emotional connection where you've seen that ship 1,000 times, and it's like standing less than 15 feet away from you.
I know. I mean, you saw the picture I posted today.
Right. It's so
leaves you in awe just a little bit.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I think that overall how Star Wars is how they're doing their thing, they are tapping into us, the true fans like me and you, that have that emotional connection. And that's the thing. I think that's what they want. And that's with anything. If you're passionate about something and you care about something, I don't think it matters if you like it or if you dislike it. It is the fact that you love it. And if you're all in, you're going to be passionate and be like, oh, that's hot trash, or, oh, that's the best movie. That's the best thing. That's the best character ever. And that's it. That's all that really matters.
But just because you're a fan doesn't mean you have to accept everything they sell you.
No, you don't.
And
that's the best part, even if you don't like the Last Jedi or not, I still love you. It's okay.
Hey, I wouldn't expect anything less.
But with that being said, I want to know what is one We can break it down by trilogy. We can go by movie, but I want to know like your favorite scenes.
Okay.
So
We're
let's
already
do
at
by
an hour.
trilogy. We're already in an hour. Okay, so
Already
we
at an
got
hour.
so we got like 30 more minutes or 20 more minutes. So we'll end it. We'll end it with this, but we'll go by trilogy.
Okay.
Or let me know. You want to do per movie? Favorite scene per movie?
Let's.
Or you want to do trilogy?
We can do movie.
You can do movie.
We can do movie.
All right.
Might take a
we'll
little
start
longer.
Okay. No, we're good. We're good.
You want me to
All right, so we'll
start?
Start. Go. We're starting with Phantom Menace.
Okay. When they meet Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, you.
Okay. No, of course not. When Anakin meets Obi-Wan.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's yeah. That was pretty good. They kind of shook hands on the ship and everything.
And he's like, "You're a Jedi Knight too. Nice to meet you." Attack of the Clones.
Wait, no, though. I'll go.
Okay. Okay.
The fight between Maul and Obi-Wan.
Of course.
That one, I mean, probably one of the best lightsaber fights of all time. Until no, I'm not even gonna go there. But yeah, you just have to keep watching your show. Just keep watching your show.
Oh, I know. I mean, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attack of the Clones.
There's a lot of really good ones there. I really like when Anakin tells Padme that he doesn't like sand because it gets in everywhere and it's coarse and hard and stuff. No, come on. Let me think. Because that movie is outside of the whininess, which I don't understand why they made him act that way. But hey, whatever.
I mean, he was still.
I really like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, he was still a teenager. So.
Yeah, I know, but he was also the chosen one. Like he could have,
Oh man.
stepped up his game a little bit. Plus, I mean, Padme was clearly older than him. What was he going to impress her by whining? I guess he did. Maybe it worked. But
I mean, he was vulnerable. He made himself vulnerable. He kind of figured it out a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of good scenes in that movie as far as like his emotional turn. But I think my favorite scene in that movie is when Yoda goes off on Count Dooku.
Yeah. Another saber fight.
And I'm trying not to just pick lightsaber scenes.
That's what I was thinking too. You can see where our mind is at.
I think in Revenge of the Sith, I think we can probably both agree on the scene.
Maybe we'll see. Hold on. So for me in Attack, it's probably his turn when he loses his mom, when he loses Shmi, and he goes off.
Yeah.
Just wreck shop. And I seeing that turn in him, and then as you kind of progress a little bit further, when he goes back and he sees Padme and he tells her what he did.
Yeah.
And he feels bad for what he did. He let his rage take over, and he killed that entire village.
But they're animals.
Well, they had
and they kidnapped his mom, bro. I mean,
they did, but that was the beginning of the end. He had choices. We all have choices, and that was one of the things I liked, because even the thing I love though is that when he told Padme, she didn't like shy away from him. She didn't look at him like, oh my god, why did you just kill babies? You killed everybody?
Yeah.
Now I'm out. Now she went beside him, consoled him and everything, and stayed with him. And I was like, as corny as the scene was, it wasn't one of the best scenes, but just the fact of you start to see him go down that path.
I was thinking
that scene is what starts it all. If he wouldn't have lost his mom, the story might have been a very, very different.
Yeah. I fully agree. It was one of the ones that I was thinking about too. And there's leading up to that point, there's a couple of really good shots. Like when he's standing in front of the little the desert igloo, and his shadow makes the Darth Vader silhouette. And then when he's sitting on the speeder bike against the sunset, you see it again because of the way his hair is. It looks like, he's got the helmet on.
I didn't see it on the speeder.
No?
I did not see it on the speeder.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it. But yeah, so I like that scene. I think it's a good choice. For me, I don't think I was ever as surprised to see, like when I saw that lightsaber battle with Yoda, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he drops his cane and then he's like,
right.
He doesn't even unhilt his own lightsaber. He's like,
right,
and then just goes off.
So what scene? Oh wait, you're gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah, let me see. I got to make sure that we don't show the video. Here, this is the one I'm talking about.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
So yeah, those two scenes lead up directly to that moment. And because it's his turn, I fully agree with you. It's probably the best one. It's not my personal favorite, but it's probably the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's
Revenge of the
Sith. You go.
I loved you. I remembered. I honestly, I cannot tell you where I heard this. I remember, of course, early 90s, bro, when I first saw the movies, there was hardly comics. There was hardly anything out there that you could still find at that moment because, we're already almost a decade past Star Wars. There was no toys, no Legos. I mean, I remember getting a flashlight and, getting document protectors and cutting them and like rolling them and taping them and then coloring the tip of, the lens of the flashlight with like a green marker or whatever. Anyway, somehow we knew that the way Anakin became Darth Vader was in some kind of lava with, fighting Obi-Wan. That's really all you knew. And through my entire childhood, being a Star Wars fan and regularly rewatching the movies, I was like, God, man, I wish I could see that. I wish I could see how does that happen?
Right.
How do you get to that point where, you need the suit? And even throughout the whole movie, and this is another thing where I'm like, my criticism of filling in the plot holes in the past doesn't really reflect here because you already know what happens. When you see Qui-Gon pick up Anakin or meet Anakin, you're like, that's Darth Vader, bro. It's going to happen.
Right.
So the outcome. But I think to me, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier, like that is interesting to me. I wanted to know that. Kind of like how I want to know that how did Luke go from, basically a youngling Padawan to full-fledged Jedi in an intermission, basically. But so when he goes to Mustafar, and I was like, oh, that's the lava planet. and then Obi-Wan sneaks on the Nubian. I think it's a Nubian.
Yeah, it's Nubian.
The Nubian. I was like, oh, this is gonna go down right now. And that scene after Anakin's on fire and he's like, I hate you, and I'm like, I felt that, and there's still that moment when he chases after Mace Windu and then saves the Chancellor. I'm like, don't do it, Anakin. Don't do it. Every time I watch the movie, bro, I'm like, come on, make the choice. Make the right choice.
Right.
And, like you said earlier, he had choices along the way, and it shows such a great downfall of a character, because you don't want it to happen, because also what happens on the other end of that. You know that there's good in him. You know that he sacrifices his life for his son. And you don't want to see, even though you know what's going to happen, your human intuition is like, I don't want to see this guy struggle. So that to me is probably my second favorite scene in the overall trilogy.
Yeah. That's going to have to be, I agree with you. That's my choice too. Like for Revenge of the Sith, like when he becomes Darth Vader, like 100%, and when Obi-Wan, comes off the shuttle, he's sitting there, Anakin and Padme are talking, and Padme is just like, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what do you mean? Like we can rule the whole galaxy. I know what the Emperor is going to do. I could take him out.
Yeah. And that just shows how arrogant he was.
Okay. So my pick is, I agree with you like 100%. Like how Anakin turned, because that was my thing too. Like from all the other movies, knowing that he's going to turn. And I didn't know it was going to be lava and he got all burnt up or whatever it was. I just knew something bad happened. And I didn't know when or what or whatever. I just knew it was going to happen. And seeing that movie and then seeing it happen was one of the kind of saddest experiences as a moviegoer, as a Star Wars fan. It was rough to watch, but as soon as Obi-Wan came off the ship, and Padme and Anakin are sitting there talking, and she's like, "Yo, you're breaking my heart," and he's just like, "Man, whatever, man. Like, it's me and you. I know what the Emperor is going to do. I've foreseen it. Like, I could take him out." And she's like, "You're going down a path I can't follow. Go with you."
It shows a lot of her integrity.
Exactly. So she loves this man. She's pregnant with, his kid or kids. And she's like, I can't do that. I love you, but I can't do that. Then he sees Obi-Wan, right? And then his anger and jealousy takes place and they go at it, and then what's the phrase he said? If you're not with you, you're my enemy.
Yeah.
And they just go. And to see,
and he said only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Right. And then the anticipation of, it's like, oh, they're about to go down. It's about to go down.
I will do what I must.
And then they go, oh man. Oh, so that, yeah. And I know that was a lightsaber fight, but I think that whole scene is one in Star Wars history where, because it creates, Darth Vader.
It creates the story.
Body, he was Darth Vader in terms of like his name, but the image, everything that took place on Mustafar put him in that suit. And,
right.
But yeah. So, episode 4, A New Hope.
Hmm. So many.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I pick a favorite, it's the call to action scene with Obi-Wan when they're in his hut and because before you were just watching a movie. The movie was kind of just bebopping along.
Yeah. Beep, bop, beep,
That
beep, bop.
moment opened the door and it was like, look, bro, there's lightsabers in this universe. There's Jedi Knights. There was the Clone Wars. And I need you to go help me rescue this princess.
Right.
And we're going to Mos Eisley. Let's
It's
go.
it's a dangerous port.
I was like, as a kid, I was like, I'll go, Obi-Wan. Let's go. But to me, it introduced and it kicked off the story for me.
Yeah.
So I got to stick with that scene.
Yeah. My favorite scene. God, there's a 1 and then there's a 1A. Um, the binary sons. So when he goes out and he looks at the two sons and kind of goes out and everything and
Yeah.
just kind of looking and he's just like, what do I want to do? Like, is this my destiny? You can see kind of the questions
Well, he was
in
pissed
his
because he just
eyes.
wanted
He's
to
like,
go to the Tashi station to get power converters.
yeah, but you can get some power converters, but what you gonna do with your life?
You can play with your friends when the harvest is done.
Blue Harvest.
But
Yeah,
I think it's the kickoff of the character arc, right? Like he's a farm boy, but he doesn't want to be a farm boy.
right. I mean, he's got his father in him.
We're ridiculous. No,
Well,
good choice.
I guess my one
1A.
I guess one A would be towards the end where he turns off the computer, when he's fighting against the Death Star. And, he hears Obi-Wan talking to him, but that scene there is a scene of faith. He doesn't know, he knows he has something, but it's not fully developed yet.
Well, he had just stepped foot into a larger world.
Right. But he didn't know exactly where that world kind of was going to take him. But he knew something. He had faith in, hey, there's something bigger out there, and I kind of feel it. But he believed it, and as soon as he believed it, that's what I feel like, catapulted him into that larger world. And yeah. Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, good one.
Oh, I thought I knew where you were going.
I'm sure you. I'm sure you do. I mean, can you really beat the "I am your father" surprise?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, of course.
Gotta be. Yeah. Although there's it's such a good movie. There's so many different side stories that are happening that all play part of the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's got to be it. I mean, that's the single most pivotal turning point in the story in just about all the movie history. So, yeah, I'd have to go with that one.
For me, it's when he meets Yoda and it's kind of training with Yoda.
Yeah.
He goes down, to Yoda. Hey, Yoda. So yeah, when he goes down to Dagobah, he's doing his thing, meets Yoda, and oh yeah, you know Yoda? Oh yeah, take you to him. I brings him back to do his thing, and it's just talking, and he's just so anxious. Gotta get the training. I gotta meet Yoda. And then he's like, oh, I can't do this, bro. He's all over the place.
I
And then he
can't get
finally
involved.
Right, he finally recognizes Luke. You see it on his face, and it's just like, "You're Yoda, Ben. You're Yoda." Yeah, I'm Yoda. Right. He's like, "Oh my god!" But that is through his training, and the one major line from his training itself is, um, what is it? Oh my god, it's on my freaking license plate too. Um, Damn it.
Tell me what it is.
Wouldn't have thought about it. I would have known that. I would have ripped it right off. Oh God. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all day long. Take that, tattoo it on, put it on your license plate,
Yep.
just do. There's no try, just do. So,
It's that little nugget, that little nugget of information that can change your life.
there you go. Return of the Jedi.
When he refuses to kill his father and he would rather take the lightning. And before that, when he looks at him and says, "You've failed, Your Highness.
Yeah.
I'm a Jedi like my father was."
The fight
was really good.
It gets me every time. Every time I watch it. Deep down in my gut, in my chest, when he fights and he hits him and takes his hand, and then he looks at his hand and he realizes he's just like his father.
Yeah.
Like that gets me every time. And I feel it. It's one of those feelings I just like, it's hard to describe, but it's just so guttural. It's so visceral when you see it. It's, oh man, every time, dude.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I think the fight against Endor, for me, I know it's kind of a broad scene, but I love the Millennium Falcon. And when Lando, takes the Falcon and just does his thing and goes into the Death Star, and it's such a
I can see it.
it's such a beautiful scene. I love it. Like that. I mean, there's so much other stuff that happens within the movie. The conversation that he has with Obi-Wan, Yoda passes. But that scene for me it's probably the funnest scene. A lot of other stuff was really real and very visceral. It's very kind of like, yeah, this is kind of real life in a Star Wars movie. But that scene was fun for me. Like, that was probably the best part of I won't say best, but one of the better parts of the movie, where you're just like flying through space and just knocking out the Death Star 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was a lot of cool emotional kind of moments in that movie. Like Luke saving Han from Jabba the Hutt, or, Leia unfreezing him from the carbonite. Luke walking in after leaving Yoda, the whole scene where he's talking to Yoda on Dagobah. And then he walks in and, he's like, "I'm in." And they're like, "We need one more." And he's like, "Count me in."
Yeah.
That reunion. Or Han letting Lando use the Falcon. Like, just take her.
Take her.
Yeah.
She's the fastest ship in the fleet.
You sure, old buddy?
Yeah.
Not a scratch.
I got your promise. Not a scratch, right? But you get going.
You old pirate. Yeah, that one, and then of course, the whole father-son thing, and Luke taking him to the pyre and burning him, but the party at the end, from the original movies, it closes the loop on everything. It brings Obi-Wan back, it brings Yoda back, it brings Anakin back. Hayden Christensen or what's his name? I know it too. I can't think of it right now. Anyway.
No, the first guy that played Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Anakin. Yeah.
Not David Prowse. He's the guy in the suit.
No, that's him.
I think he was just the body double.
No, that was him.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think it was somebody else.
We got our phones right here. Let's use a little.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think that's him. But I like that one just because how do you go back to your older self when you were 20 something or whatever? Like he redeemed himself
as the old man.
Right.
So yeah, I
think that
I'm there with you. All right, now, what's the favorite overall?
Oh, we're not going to do the new ones? No, to us the new ones don't count.
I mean, we I could do those really quickly. Real quick.
Go for it.
No, okay. All right. Force Awakens. I'm still doing this. The lightsaber calling out the Rey, and then the flashback scene when she touches it, because there's a lot that goes on with that particular lightsaber. It's the first one you've ever seen, ever. So cool. Good. It was a good scene. Set up a lot of false hope. That's what that movie should have been called. A False Hope.
So what?
Yeah, for you. Go ahead.
Which one is it?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens for me is when Han dies. That was tough.
Yeah.
That was saying goodbye to the smuggler, to the coolest dude like in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be Han. I mean, Luke was cool, but everybody wanted to be Han.
I wanted to be Luke, bro.
I wanted to be Han.
Really?
Hell yeah. I mean, of course you wanted to kind of do a lightsaber, but when it came down to it, like Han was just cool, man. He was doing his thing. Plus he got the girl, so right.
True. I don't know. Luke was my dude, man. He was my hero.
Last Jedi.
It's like it so much. I'm trying not to say anything cliche or sarcastic. I think my face is giving it away, but okay. So as much as people may not like the concept of Luke saying that, the Jedi have to die, I don't necessarily disagree with that statement. So I think if I had to pick my favorite scene, because I do think that a lot of the, the Jedi mentality, or I mean, the reason that Anakin turned is because their dogmatic view of how things should be. And I think if they had left a little bit of wiggle room in their strict rules for, some exploration of, even how Anakin said, he considers compassion as true love, which is one of the fundamental things that the Jedi should embrace, or however he phrased it. But I think the whole gray Jedi concept is very intriguing and would have done the story some good, like Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is really neither here nor there. She's just on her own, but she does what she can, and she still maintains her moral compass. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite scene in that movie. You? See, you can't come up with one.
I had one, and I was thinking about it, but you got me thinking about that Great Jedi thing. Sort of took me off on a different tangent.
Sorry.
That's a good idea. Oh my God.
Just waiting. Oh, was it when you found out where Snoke came? Nope, couldn't have been that.
No, it wasn't that.
Was it? Where they brought the Knights of Ren didn't show up in that movie either. When Luke was super pumped about his lightsaber coming back.
No, it was actually the scene where Yoda shows back up. And it sits next to Luke, and he kind of burns down the temple that's on the island, and they have that conversation. And which is another message that Rian Johnson, I think, is trying to let the audience know. But they are what? What's the line? They are what we grow. I wrote it down somewhere. Gosh dang it. They are what we grow beyond, or something like that. God dang, I'm screwing that up. Crap.
Here, keep talking. I'll look it up.
Look it up. But yeah, with that scene there, I mean, it's basically, look, what we've done our thing. We've lived our lives. We've lived this life of, I don't say Jediism or anything like that, but we've done the best that we can, and now it's time to pass that knowledge on to the next generation.
Okay.
And
I got it. Pass on what you have learned, strength, mastery, but weakness, folly, failure, also. Yes, failure most of all. The greatest teacher of failure is Luke. We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters.
Actually, Yoda said that.
Yeah. Very profound. Yeah, he says, Luke, we are what they grow beyond. Yeah, but do you see the favorite scenes we picked? Yeah, should have used those characters more wisely, but whatever. All right.
So, Rise of Skywalker. How many times have you watched it, by the way?
You want to know the truth?
I'm going to give you the truth.
Can you handle the truth? Once.
Yeah, me too.
Now,
it will be it'll be watched soon, though.
Yeah, I mean, they just started streaming it, so I wasn't gonna. I don't buy DVDs anymore anyway.
Well, I did because I wanted to see a lot of the deleted scenes, and considering I know they can have a documentary on there about the whole coming to an end process and things. So yeah.
I mean, hey, I just haven't really had much interest in rewatching it, but
I feel that way too sometimes, but then as soon as I pop that thing in and start to watch it on Disney Plus or whatever, like recently when they were showing it on TV today, I was sucked in. And I
Yeah.
think that's how I am. I'm like, if that movie's on, I'm probably gonna be watching it, and I'm gonna get sucked in. I can't turn away once it's on. So
Yeah. All right. So I want to say my favorite scene is where Luke lifts the X-wing out of the ocean.
mm-hmm.
But I feel a little bit. I'm gonna give it its diligence. And even though I completely wholeheartedly disagree with the whole Palpatine and um, scene where he's on the throne and she's standing below him, I really did like, for the purpose of telling their story, I really did like the whole the scene where all of them are speaking to her.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I'm a fan and I like the history of the saga and the franchise. So I'll pick one scene with Rey in it. I'll say that one was probably my favorite scene because it was the only scene where I was like, okay, this somehow or another, this train wreck of 2.5 movies is finally being completed in their own way.
Gotcha.
But I'll give it its credit and say that was, that was a pretty good way to tell it.
It was a pretty good smooth shot there. That train wreck of a movie, 2 hours.
Bro.
I liked it.
All right, what's your favorite scene?
There was 2 scenes I'm trying to kind of decide from. I'll kind of give you both. The first scene is when Kylo turns back to Ben when he saw his father. And I've heard a lot of people kind of give their opinions. Oh, it should have been Luke. Nah, man. If that was Luke, he hated Luke. If he would have saw Luke, he would have stayed Kylo. But when he saw his father, and the cool part, if you watch it again, is he doesn't say anything, but Han says, "I know."
Yeah.
And it's exactly what Leia said. I love you.
I know.
And it's exactly what he was saying to his father. I'm sorry. I love you. And he didn't have to say one. He's like, I know. You ain't got to say it. I got you.
Yeah.
That there was like, yeah, it was strong. Super strong.
Okay, so 2 good scenes. 3 good scenes.
2 good scenes. 3. The second scene I liked, what for me, I loved it, was the end. I think some people are like, oh gosh, Rey Skywalker? What the crap? Why would she say?
Yeah, my wife is one of them. She's like, what?
Yeah, she don't like it. She don't like it. And the fact
I do like it. I think it's pretty good too. Yeah.
When she buried both, she went back to Tatooine. She buried both of their lightsabers side by side. And little scavenger person walks by and like, hey, who are you? My name's Rey. Rey what? Rey Skywalker. And then she kind of turns around and she sees both of them as Force Ghosts looking at her. I thought that was the fitting best end to the entire saga. And this is why. Rey's journey and Rey's story, she was somebody who was abandoned. She was left on her own. She didn't have anybody to take care of her. She had to take care of herself.
Yeah.
Right? Her parents obviously abandoned her to protect her from Palpatine not finding her. But she was out there doing her thing. Okay? And the moment that she actually was around somebody who actually cared about her to protect her, without even really kind of knowing who she was Finn, right? So that love, that kind of protection, that caring for him,
Yeah.
but then it leads to them going to the ship, the Millennium Falcon. Whose ship is that? That's Han's. And linking up with Han. And then Han gives her these looks in the first movie, in The Force Awakens, where he's just like, who is this chick? Like, there was a weird kind of connection that was there. And she was looking at him like a father figure, looking, because he, with what he did and how he kind of took care of her and kind of how he was treating her was the same way that a father or an uncle would take care of,
a family member.
Niece. Yeah, exactly. That love that she had never received from a man, first of all, like, dude, I need that.
Yeah.
And then when she met Leia, obviously after, towards the end of the movie, that was the mother figure. So Han and Leia were basically raised parents in a kind of, not a parent, but in that guardian, I'm looking up to you, I love you, you love me type of way. When she got that connection there. So then obviously when she met Luke, and she's meeting obviously all the old characters from the old movies, but they were teaching her, I guess, how to be the new Skywalker. The best way that she possibly could, to take that lineage, to take that gift into the future. If you can look at it from a movie standpoint, or you can look at it from just, a human being, standpoint. And she wasn't a Palpatine, she was a nobody. But being around that family kind of created who she was.
It highlights the profound ability that a choice has. Simply making a choice. She just decided that that's who she wanted to be. And I get why people like that. I mean, I'm not ignorant to
I think she decided to do that, but then also too, it was the love that they decided that they chose to give her.
Yeah.
And
she didn't have to be on the path that was predetermined by her genetic pool. Exactly. She got a choice in who she wanted to be. And I think that was maybe the main message of the whole trilogy, with let the past die, you get to choose. Exactly. Nobody gets to tell you who you want to be. And I completely get that.
Yeah.
How you got there, I disagree, but hey, I mean, that's, again, a choice.
We wanted to get there in different ways, but the way that we got there, the message was still given to us. We still received it. We just wanted to see it in a flashier, different way. But I think it was, in the end, still beautiful. I think it was a very, very powerful ending. I think I know I was emotional at the end of the movie. It hit me because I think for two reasons. It was a strong movie for me. It ended strong, but it ended the Skywalker saga. My entire life, it's always been about Luke, Leia, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan. And this was the last movie where all that was, coming to an end. And it was beautiful. I loved the way they respectfully did that.
Yeah, I think honestly they did the best with what they had.
I agree.
And I think it was a beautiful choice to close the movie. Now, you can argue the merits of whether that's weird that she went back and buried the lightsabers there, but Leia didn't have a home planet, and that was where Luke grew up. So,
Leia's planet was no longer there.
Right. I mean, they blew up Alderaan in the first movie,
and she wasn't really. Naboo wasn't an option, I guess.
No. I mean, we met. We saw the lightsaber
in the little flashback thing
on Tatooine first. I mean, she ended up burying the original lightsaber, not the green one. She buried the blue one.
Or was the green one?
Wait.
We'll have to watch it again.
I'm pretty sure it was the original blue one.
Well, she didn't light it up.
No, but I mean, you can tell by the grip and the hilt. And let's see. Yeah, so it was the original one that Obi-Wan gave Luke and Leia's.
Gotcha.
And that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the green lightsaber at all. It doesn't make a comeback in those movies. Because even when he's fighting Kylo in The Last Jedi, he has the blue one, which to me should have been a dead giveaway if I was Kylo. I mean, I know the lightsaber. I just broke it.
He was so wrapped up in his emotions, bro.
I know.
I care. That was he was blinded. He was blinded.
I know. But anyway, so overall favorite scene. All 9 movies. I mean, I guess you could include Rogue One. We already know what our favorite scene there is.
Oh yeah, would that be the number one scene in all of them? Where you actually see Vader wreck shop?
No.
It's up there.
Yeah, but it's not the top. There. It can't be the top, bro. It's
out of everything. Oh, that's tough, man. We might have to come back on that. We might have to do part 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's bring it back. We'll have to run it back on a part 2.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, sir.
All right, brother.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you. I love you, bro.
All right. Love you too.